Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, looking at a Neo Geo AES this time. This is for a friend of mine, Beeps. I don't generally do these repairs for people, I know on YouTube and stuff. I've got a limited amount of time and energy and stuff, I tend to want to focus on things I want to do rather than, spending all my spare time doing things for other people. So I'll always help people, point people in the right directions where I can. But I've made a bit of an exception with this because I know he's been really struggling with these two Neo Geo systems, both this and the CD system he's got. And at the same time, I'm interested in doing this in my spare time anyway. In fact, I just won one of these this weekend, so there you go. You can see that I had an interest there in trying to spend some of my spare time fixing one of these. So I think standard now going to have two to fix. But anyway, as you can see, the lid just came straight off. There's no screws. There's a bit of a history behind this one. Beeps might be able to correct me and expand a little bit on the comments and things. But the main thing is, it was described as faulty when he got it. It was black screen, I think. He had a look at it, and someone had been soldering around the power regulator there, the voltage regulator. So you can see there's some very questionable solder going on there, just around it. So he managed to unbridge a couple of the contacts that were bridged, and then it booted up. But it's given this graphical display problem where it doesn't seem to be drawing sprites and things. You've got text. Yeah, we'll have a look at and see what's what as we're going along here. But that was the first issue, and then the second issue was I think someone had previously had to go at trying to fit a BIOS, cock that up. So Beeps had to go himself, couldn't quite get it working, sent it somewhere else, another person, and they've had a go at trying to fix it. And as you can see, this is what we are left with, which is a horror story. It really is. I'm at a loss to understand how we've ended up with this whole thing of wires like this floating off the board with what you can see down there. You can see all those little traces all over the place with glue and glued onto there. It's like, oh my god, that's its own right. That could be, a huge part of the problem, really. There was another chip that he said that had been replaced as well. I'm just having a look round just to see if I can work out what has been replaced here. Certainly from this side of the board it's not evident. Yeah, some questionable points and things on like that Neo C1. Don't know, might need reflowing. I think we'll have to do a good inspection of some of these chips. The B1 over here, again, some of the solder points on it, it just looks like it's a bit dry. It might need reflowing as well. Sorry, it's hard to do this while I'm actually looking at it and trying to film at the same time. Interesting observation here as well. This is obviously proper board and stuff. Those chips there just look slightly slanted downwards. Certainly that top one. Don't know whether that's just a manufacturing thing. I mean, there's no signs they've been reheated or reflowed or replaced. So, just having a good look around the other areas. You've got your video encoder there. Sony 6 A1145, is it same as the Mega Drive? Various other systems. Get your main graphics chip down here. We're suspecting that might be what needs replacing. So again, I'll have a look at the connections on that and see whether that needs reflowing. Power LED. Someone's been doing some soldering there. Not sure what's going on with that. So yeah, that coil's loose. The glue's come off there, so that's going to need reattaching. There's your reset circuitry over there. Yeah, glue on that coil, like I say, needs replacing. My main thing, like I say, my main concern with this right from the start is this area here, because this is just it is just a nightmare. What's happened here is a horror story. It really is. It's going to take quite a bit of work to fix that. I think it really is. I'm tempted just for the moment. Well, I don't know. I was going to say I'm tempted to leave that as it is for the moment, but yeah, and I think I will until I've put the diagnostics BIOS on and just run a test on it and see what's what. But ultimately, I think this is going to have to come off. I'm going to have to repair all of that stuff around there, all those traces, fit a socket, clean up this chip here because that looks like that's been swapped out. Clean up and reflow this chip here, and and put proper bridge wires and stuff on there. But yeah, why are they like this up here? can see these pins just like off the board. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, let's just have a quick look at the pins on the socket there. Looking pretty straight. No signs of any shorts or anything. It's in fairly good condition, that, all things considered. So I'll just try and get this board out. We'll have a look on the underside. Well, that's the underneath of the board. Oh my fucking god, is all I can say. Look at the size of that fucking piece of solder. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm just a bit surprised at the state of this. Really am. Here, it's just a giant blob of solder, and of course, you know, all the copper's exposed here on all these traces. So I can just move that into shot a little bit, all the way down here, presumably to do testing and stuff. But it's going to be fiddly. This, it really is. It might take me longer than I'm expecting. And obviously, as you can see, you know, got some jumper wires that come all the way across. 1, 2, whatever that is, Yamaha probably. Is it? Could be the CPU. Let's have a look. It's it's the CPU. Yeah, CPU. So, I'm going to get the diode BIOS in this now anyway, and just power it up and see what happens. Right, so I'll just show you a couple of things here. The first thing is, when I tested this with the original ROM, we just got a blue screen. Nothing at all, just a blue screen. If I now switch it on with a cart in, you'll see what's happening now. I've got the diagnostics ROM in here. Can you see we've got some really weird video stuff going on, like noise or interference? But the interesting thing is, see that at the top there, VRAM 2K dead, output lower. So it looks like we've got a video RAM problem, certainly, or something wrong with the interface of the video RAM. Yeah, lower. Not sure what the noise and interference and stuff is. It's very odd. It really is. I'll try and reconnect the SCART cable at both ends just to make sure we've got a good connection. But it's like there's something else going on here. It's like we've got some noise or something being generated by something. So anyway, that's the first thing. I've got a couple of spare boards coming for this. I've got an MV1FZ spare board as a spare, because I think they're mostly the same components. I'm not sure about that chip. It probably is the B1, Neo B1, but certainly the graphics chip over here, the LSPC2-A2, it's pretty much the same. I'm pretty sure it's identical on an MV1FZ, and that's why I went for that as a spare. Just looking at some of the others, I've got a G0 that looks the same, I think. C1, as you've seen in my earlier video, I replaced that. That looks the same, I think. Same package, D0. So we should have some spares. You know, bear in mind, obviously, the boards I've ordered are faulty. They're not all chips are not going to be faulty, so we're going to have some spares there. But you know, the immediate concerns with this is the CPU socket, the ROM socket here, certainly needs some serious work doing to tidy that up. And obviously, I'm going to tidy up this regulator. We'll check the voltages and things just to make 100% sure everything's correct there with regards to the supplies and stuff, and then just do a bit of clean-up work, I guess. So it could be one of these chips, those do the video memory, but there's a couple of other chips of video memory. I think maybe these two over here, I'm not sure, they might be further up the board. Could even be a problem with one of these LS273s. No idea. I'll have to look at the schematics and work out what's what. But I mean, the main thing is, like I say, we've got some signs of some life there, and it could help us go down the right track, I think. What I'll do now, just take this BIOS out, put the original BIOS back in, the Uni BIOS there, and just see what happens. Just see if we're getting the same gain output that Beeps has seen. So following on from that VRAM error that's reported by the diode BIOS, you'll see I've done a couple of things here. I've attached a 5-volt wire to the one of the pins. I think it's like pin 2 or something of the regulator there. Sorry, it's just off shot there, underneath the board. So that's what this red wire is, in order to get my logic probe. And I've used the ground, which is the shielding wire that goes over the crystal there. So that's fine. And what I've done is I've just printed off the data sheet. just printed off the data sheet here for this chip. So you've got the pinouts there, and I've just checked the write enable and output enable pins and stuff. And I'll just quickly show you. There's not much to see really, but if I just go across the chip like that, you'll see we've got a high, pulsing, sort of pulsing, I think. But you know, I think pin 4 and 5 or something. Well, not 4 and 5, but 4 and 5 from the top there are the write enable and output enable. But I mean, you know, there's activity. The main thing is there's no. It's not dead. You know, I'm not seeing any signs of a stuck high, or you know, there's clock. You know, there's not really a clock, but pulsing signal here. So you're toggling between high and low and perhaps high impedance state. And it's the same all the way around both of those. So that makes me think that potentially the graphics chip is not the cause here, and potentially maybe it is one of these chips. They do get very hot. I mean, they're red hot now. It's only been on a minute. So I'm going to socket these anyway, and we'll just swap them round to see if it changes, because I'm expecting it might from lower to upper. We might get a different behaviour visually once we actually test the game. So let's give that a try. Right, so what I'm going to do next is have a go at removing these two chips and socket them. It's interesting it supports larger chips, this. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's just a different package that it'll support. So there's a jumper or something here, and you can see that, presumably for the two different types of chip there. But anyway, yeah, first instance I'll socket these up. I'm going to swap them around just in the interest to see if we get a different error at a different address. Maybe we'll get some different behaviour, so that's what I'm going to do. I need to do that anyway just to make sure it's not these chips, and they're good idea to be socketed because these are very common to fail on the Neo Geo AES and MVSs, so we'll do that now. There we go, that's 2 for 2. So I'll get the sockets on there and give the chips a try. Okay, as you can see, got the sockets on there now, totally soldered correctly. I've checked for broken traces and all that sort of stuff. You can see the two chips here on the on camera. I've got both chips out. Now I've swapped these round. It does exactly the same thing. I'll show you with no chips in at all, just so you can see what's actually going on here. VRAM 2K, dead output, lower. Exactly the same, and that's with no chips in the sockets. So, very interesting. That to me, you know, and I've checked again on the logic probe here. I checked the pins of the socket when there's no chips in there, and this, you know, all the same signals are there as they were without the chips. So that could mean one of two things. It could mean something internal to the LSPC. You know, the graphics chip there's faulty. It could also mean that both of these have died. So I mean, when I put the sockets on, I've put the slightly longer sockets because as I showed earlier, the board will take the two different types of DRAM or SRAM or whatever it is there. So I'll have to wait for some spares now, some known working ones really, just to give that a test with known working chips before I sort of commit really to considering removing the graphics chip, because that's going to be a bit of a pain, if I'm completely honest. I'd rather try and avoid doing that, but we'll see what's what when I get some replacement chips anyway. Right, well, being the impatient person I am, I got one of my other spare boards out of the loft, a working MVS, and took off the chips, and I've swapped them out so you can see the ones I've just taken off an MV1FZ board versus the original two. And whilst there was no difference when you swapped around the individual chips here, I came to the conclusion they must have both failed, and I did a bit of research online, and it turns out, yeah, they do, they fail, you get power spike. Both these chips always go out at the same time, more often than not. So here we go. Let's see what we get now. Oh yes, looks like it's fixed. Beeps will be a happy bunny. The display looks right now as well. We've got stability back. Still some noise and stuff on the sound there, and it needs some caps, I think, added to the video circuit and the audio circuit. Just to tidy it up a bit, but let's just try it with the original BIOS. So that seems to be working. So I'm not sure about that white background there. Not sure if that's normal in this game. Not sure about the stereo either. Not sure whether that's only on one channel. Seems to be the left channel, but not the right. Could be the cable. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, picture and sound definitely needs tidying up. But yeah, is this working? It looks like it is. It's a real shame I've not got any other games to test this with, because you know, we may have a problem with higher meg cards. It's hard to tell. I'm just going to switch it off. I'm just going to reattach the card there again, just to make sure it's all in there correctly. It sounds like there's something loose in the cart actually, as well. I'm not sure about a white background on the title. Not there, that. I mean, everything else looks alright, so. I'm guessing it's okay. Get into the cheat menu and stuff here, that's working. Let's try another character. Don't know how you do any of the moves on this game, so I've not played it much really. I think there's a hard hit and a soft hit, isn't there? Not sure about the scrolling bars at the top either. It could be, looks like it's a sync problem or something, maybe the signal's not very good on my TV. Yeah, definitely needs some work to the sound and video output. That humming's terrible. Anyway, yeah, the main thing is it's working at this stage, so yeah, I'll come back and do another video shortly once I've tidied up that ROM socket and stuff and made a bit more progress with the sound and the video here. But yeah, initial signs are now. It looks like the immediate problem's been fixed by swapping out those SRAM chips. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.